afternoon, evening, where you are. Good evening, good afternoon. So today we're gonna go through a little bit of, last week we talked a little bit about, how to use critical thinking to improve your own life, and there are many ways. I mean, there are many ways. There are endless. That's why I have this channel, right? Because there are endless topics to talk about with respect to how critical thinking can improve our lives. I'm in a little bit of a different space today, right? So, I was in a rush today, all right? So don't judge me. I'm on my bed right now, but I don't have all the fancy lighting today. But anyway, not that you might even notice anyway. But by the way, how are you guys doing? I would love to hear from you. How's your day going? Where are you coming in from? Where, all that stuff. I'd love to know where you're coming in from, where you're watching from. How your day is going so far. But critical thinking actually can help us change the world. I really believe that. And that's a big claim, but like, change the world in what way? Because there are many movements and many ideas where they say, okay, we're gonna change the world. Well, and it always backfires. Don't you notice that? If you have this movement or that movement or this idea, that ideology, what's always going on? What's the trend that we see? Whether you look at, the history of China, the history of Europe, the history of the Middle East, the history of Africa, um, in many cases, oh yeah, the history of, the history everywhere, right? What do you see? I call it kind of like the pendulum of history. There's this pendulum that keeps swinging back and forth, and as Steven Pinker has pointed out, has pointed out, things have gotten a lot better. Things really have gotten a lot better throughout history in terms of the levels of violence that people experience, and all of that. So things have actually, no matter how bad you think the world is right now, or let's say even, your own life is right now, understand, understand. Read Steven Pinker. Really, really great stuff. Understand that it has been a lot worse. It has been a lot worse in history. People's lives have been a lot better. Wherever you are now in your life, you have a huge advantage over somebody in your position from 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 2,000 years ago. So how can we continue this trend? How can we make that pendulum swing, less and less and less? And it all starts from me. It starts from us. I don't say me, but, speak to yourself. It all starts from you. It all starts from you. It all starts from me. Bettering our critical thinking, obviously our empathy, obviously our compassion, obviously our moral thinking, or our thinking about ethics and morals and values. That's all important. Morality, virtue. But it also starts with being a better thinker. Lubbock, Texas. All right, awesome. Welcome, welcome. Been a while since I've been to Texas. It's been a while. So I love Texas. I was in Dallas. I was around Austin. I was around San Antonio. I really loved San Antonio. Really love that vibe in San Antonio. Awesome stuff. I hope you guys are having moderate weather just about now, But welcome, welcome, welcome to the community. If you are not yet a subscriber, welcome, welcome to my channel. But yeah, critical thinking. So, what is really critical thinking? Critical thinking. Oh, very cold. Actually, very cold up here. I'm in New York. So, critical thinking is not, and I want to emphasize this, critical thinking is not about coming to, oh, here's the right way. Here's the right kind of thinking. Here's the right idea. Because isn't that the problem that we've had throughout history, right? Is people say, "Oh, I finally have the right idea." And that's good. I mean, we should have our opinions and beliefs and convictions, right? But how do we move forward, and decrease conflict, come together more to make things happen together, right? listen to each other better. Well, it all comes down to, and everybody's got to do it. Everybody's got to do it. Not just the people you think you disagree with, right? We think we disagree with. All of us have got to do it. We've got to say, okay? It starts with a powerful question. Could I be wrong? Could I be wrong about what I think about this or that? And it's powerful because when we get into conversations, too often conversations with each other are debates. Oh, I think this, you think that, we should fight each other, right? Well, that's stupid. Honestly, that's stupid. That's stupid. It accomplishes nothing. Both people walk away what? Still believing what they believe. It's cool. I mean, if you just want to flex, but that doesn't really solve anything. Um, what's a better attitude when, and I've been just coming to this more and more, what's a better attitude when we interact with other people? And you could apply this to your work life. You could apply this to we can apply this to our friendships. We can apply this, we should first and foremost apply this to the world around us. Not, some grand vision of the greater world, but we should first of all apply this thinking to our own lives, to us. Like, look in the mirror. And the first thing we should ask is, or the attitude we should have when we go into a conversation with someone or an interaction is, what can I learn? What can I learn? Right? What can I learn? There's always something to learn. Right? And that's something that I've learned is that there's a lot of humility in that. Like, when was the last time you went to like the gym, or that, like, I just went to the gym, so I'm using the gym as an example. But when was the last time you went to the gym, right? That's a good question in the first place, right? So, but besides that, when was the last time, let's say, you went to the store and the janitor was cleaning, right? Or the person at the gym is cleaning, and you acknowledge them and you say, hey, how's your day going? Right? Just something simple as that. Somebody you wouldn't normally speak to, maybe. When was the time? When was the last time you just wished a random person well, right? When was the last time you actually said, okay, this person doesn't have as much education as me, but you know what? And they might be in a different job than me. But what can I learn from them? What can I learn from them? Because they have a different life than me, right? So I can learn something, right? So that's curiosity. All right, the attitude would be like curiosity, humility. I mean, that's what it's all about, guys. That's what it's all about. Curiosity, humility, and as I'm going through here, feel free to chime in with your thoughts. I'd love to. If you disagree with me, great. This is great. Disagreement's a really powerful thing, but a lot of people do it the wrong way. This is a big part of personal growth, is critical thinking. But I don't, that's why my channel exists. That's why I have this channel, because I really believe that it is a crucial part of personal growth, and living a better life. But we don't, we don't talk about critical thinking a lot. A lot of people talk about fact checking and stuff. Now fact checking is the big thing, but here's the reason. Like, for instance, I'm not going to talk about, who's right, who's wrong here, right? With respect to, let's say, for instance, Mark Zuckerberg recently, did away with fact checking. Who's right, who's wrong? Why do we have to ask that question? Let's ask a different question. Why in the first place were people upset about fact checking, right? On the platform. Why were they upset about it? What was their actual opposition? Have you ever asked somebody, like, what is your opposition to it, right? And on the flip side, on the other side, for those who are looking at it as a positive thing, why do they see it as a positive thing, right? What do they mean by how is the fact checking being done? Right? Maybe a lot of people are upset because they don't know how the fact checking is being done. A lot of times what happens, I think, in society is whether or not a moral norm that we should follow is good or bad, whether or not it's a good thing, to follow, what happens is it's we are just told, oh, you should follow this. This is good, right? And you could take anything, right? I mean, classic example would be like back in the day, right? Slavery is a good thing, right? Slavery is a good thing, but now we grow up and we say, well, slavery is a bad thing. Well, and don't misinterpret me here. Slavery is very much a bad thing. It is very much an evil. All right. But the thing is, a lot of us grow up and we're just taught, oh, this is bad, this is wrong. You shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't believe this, you shouldn't believe that. Okay, but here's kind of, I think, a crucial skill that we don't learn in school, which is, okay, how do we come to a conclusion about what is right and what is wrong? How do we come to a conclusion about what there is evidence for or what there is not evidence for? How do we come to that conclusion? That's what critical thinking is. If you're asking me, like, what's critical thinking? It's the methods. It's not the conclusion itself. Come to your own conclusion. Be an independent thinker. Be a free thinker, right? Be a free person. It's not the point. The point is not the conclusion that we come to, right? That's not the point at all. The point is how. How did you come to your conclusion? The point is, if you believe something is morally right or morally wrong, it's not about, yes, there is content to the belief, right? But more importantly, how did you come to that conclusion? What is the evidence you used? What do you consider evidence? Guys, if we just were taught this, how to step back from our beliefs, and we weren't just, for lack of a better word, just indoctrinated with, okay, here's the belief. This is the next, because now society changed, society updated, and now we all believe something different, right? And the majority of us do. The way you can virtue signal, the way you can show you're part of the group is, do you believe this is wrong and this is right? That's not a justification for our beliefs. So we have to be taught, and we have to teach ourselves, right? And if you love what I'm talking about here and you love the method, like, want to learn more about how to do this, I have a great video coming up, 2 weeks from now. I have other videos where I discuss a lot of these topics, but, like, we should be taught how to take the step back and be able to analyze our methods of how we came to the belief. And I think there would be a lot less conflict, right, if people were trained, if we were trained, to do that. And, like all cultural trends, you can make it a cultural trend. Don't have the misinterpretation here that you have to have, 5 degrees, 5 academic degrees, and you have to have, so many, so much education in order to do this. No, we don't actually have to have lots of education at all. We all have a powerful human brain. We all have this powerful thing that can help us make decisions, make conclusions. All you have to do is train it. Everybody's capable of this kind of thinking. And we would have a really great, much better world if we did. And somebody wants to join me for the live stream. So I think this is Athena, by the way. She's a great critical thinker as well. She's a great critical thinker, right? But yeah, she's a poodle. She's in the process of growing her fur back in, and of course, look what she does to me. Hold on, look what she does to me. She's pawing me. She's pawing me because she wants my attention, because she wants me to stop what I'm doing, right? Because I'm on the live stream. She does this when I'm on my phone, and she wants me to stop the live stream, and she wants me to play with her, right? So this is it. Okay? That's what she does. That's exactly what she does, right? But she is in the process of growing. Yes, I know. You want attention. She's in the process of growing all her fur back. And she will. And when she grows all her fur back, she's like this big puffy very curly poodle. But anyway, and a great travel companion, and by the way, also a great hiking partner. So I like to hike. I don't know about you. What do you guys like to do? It's getting, my heater's getting a little noisy around here, so I might move if it gets too noisy. Um, but yeah, what do you guys like to do? You guys, I like to hike. I like to travel. I like road trips. Obviously, I like books. You guys look at my channel, but I like working out, right? What do you guys like to do? Yes, yes, yes. I'm on a live stream. Yeah, she wants to join me, but yeah. So that's a little bit of my mission, but I really think that training ourselves to do this is key. I'm actually gonna move because, yeah, I'm gonna move because it is a little bit noisy. I think. I know it's my heater is like really noisy when it sets off and it's like becomes very noisy. It's one of those old ones, one of those old heaters. I actually have to, I don't know, I would like to get a different one, but it's very very cold, and I think automatically when they sense the temperature is a certain, I don't know how, I don't know. It kind of goes on random times, but so yeah. Anyway, so how are you going to use critical thinking in this way, right? How are you going to approach your next conversation in this way? I hope you will use some of these tools. But so, thanks for the like. Thanks for the like, guys. Yeah. So I think here's some reasoning you can apply to everyday life. Right? So, for instance, here's a simple one. And I talk about this a lot, and I've talked about this in other videos, and I will actually, it's not the last time I will talk about it. I will talk about it in future videos as well. But it's something called falsification. So, this thing will stop hissing soon, I promise. But it's called falsification. So, falsification is one method you can use in your everyday life. A lot of us think that in order to find evidence for something, the process of finding evidence, a lot of us, and again, we're not taught this in school. I'm outraged by it that we're not taught this in school. Why not get taught this in school? Like, it's fundamental. It's fundamental. So, for instance, how to find evidence. I think we think that we find evidence by taking a claim, and it could be any claim. It could be a claim about myself. Like, I'm not good enough to succeed in this career or something. I'm actually gonna move because it's a little bit too noisy. Hold on. I'm gonna move. All right. So yeah, that's a little bit better. A little bit better. But yeah, so you might have a belief about yourself that something like, oh, I'm not good enough to succeed in this career or whatever. The process. How do you find evidence for a claim like that, or any claim? Any claim. The Earth is flat. Whatever. What do? You don't go out and try to find things that support it. That's not the process of finding evidence. But that's what we all think is finding evidence. Oh, I have this opinion. I'm gonna go find this study. Look, here's this study that supports my opinion. Cool. I could do that for anything. Here's some data that supports my opinion. Cool. I could find data that supports any opinion, literally pretty much any opinion. So that's not the process of what it means to find evidence. We have to train ourselves. What it means to find evidence for something means to try to disprove it. And it's not something that I made up that sounds cool. It's something that is actually just used in science. It's used in all the sciences, right? How to find evidence is exactly that. You find the null what's called a null hypothesis. You have a null hypothesis, and you try to prove it wrong. You try to prove it wrong. So it's more reliable to try to prove something wrong, to find evidence by trying to prove something wrong, than trying to prove something right. So, for instance, if you are trying to prove that, if you're trying to find evidence that you're not good enough to succeed in your career. If you're trying to gather evidence to you know to see if this is a true statement. I'm not good enough to succeed in XY career. I'm not. Nobody wants me as a romantic partner. Whatever the belief is, could be a scientific belief too. But whatever the belief is, what's our approach then? Try to disprove it. So try to go out and find evidence that conflicts with it. For instance, what would evidence be that might conflict with that belief? So, for instance, you might say, let's say I'm not good enough to succeed in this career. Well, are are there people like me in my position, who my circumstances before or currently, who have maybe studied a lot and then have succeeded at that, have maybe worked on a certain skill and have succeeded a lot because of that? Are there people who have, what activity have they done? What else could I do? Let's say, could I meet with a mentor or meet with a peer group that would help me build this skill set? Could I, whatever, if you're a student, could I meet, professor office hours? Could I get a tutor? Right? So there are many, many things that could potentially help you disprove this, right? And if you can find enough data to disprove it, then you can consider it false. It's not a good belief to hold. If you have tried to disprove this again and again and again, and through several methods, and you keep coming up with the same answer, I can't really succeed in this career, then fine. It might be the right belief. And here's the thing. Here's what most, I think people who are doing like personal development, self-help, whatever, that they'll talk about. A lot of people will talk about, you can succeed at anything if you put your mind to it. Now that's very good. I love that I love the spirit of that thinking. The spirit of that thinking is very positive. It's very good. It's very empowering. But it's also not productive to, let's say, keep pursuing something that maybe it's not in your strength. Maybe it's not within your core values, right? Maybe it would take an unreasonable amount of effort for the return you're going to get in order to succeed in that thing. And so maybe the statement is true, right? And so, but again, don't be all up in your head. How would we evaluate that? We would evaluate that by looking at the hissing's gone finally. So we would evaluate that by looking at by trying to find evidence that disproves it, right? And again, that's how science works too. It's how we come up with scientific theories, right? That's where the law of gravity comes from. Why is the law of gravity the law of gravity? Because over generations of scientists have conducted research studies and experiments to try to disprove the law of gravity and find situations in which it does not hold. And so that's why it's the law of gravity. Not because we found evidence for it. Because you could find evidence for anything you want. That's true. You can find evidence for anything you want. And that's why I think a lot of us are so misinformed these days, and we're very prone to like believe in anything somebody sells to us. Think about it. People can sell you, if we don't have this kind of thinking and we don't understand how to think well, anybody can sell anything to you. Anybody can, and I say that in the broadest way. Anybody can sell you any product by giving you selectively some information that's going to make you say, wow, oh, that really makes sense, right? Because I can make a case for anything. Anybody can sell you any ideology that they want. So this is what it means. Like, this is not just an academic exercise. Cool. Oh, right. We can be nerdy and nerd out and stuff, right? That's not. It has a practical use. It's about being an independent thinker. Free. It's about freedom. It's about true freedom, right? Freedom is not just a material thing. Freedom is not just about, do you have, you don't have somebody oppressing you, right? Physically. Physical tyranny. Freedom is about is also, even more importantly, in some sense, about mental freedom. Like having the ability to resist mental tyranny of people who just want to, tell you something, manipulate you, make you believe something, right? Instead, it's a part of resisting kind of mental tyranny to be able to say, you know what? I'm going to make my own conclusion. I don't consent to what you're trying to sell me. I might end up buying what you're trying to sell me, but I'm going to use my methods that are reliable, and I'm going to go through the process of using those methods and then come to my conclusion. I'm not going to make an emotional decision. I'm not going to let you manipulate my emotions. I'm not going to let you manipulate my thinking. Show me some biased evidence and then say, and make me conclude something. No, 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 no. A big part of critical thinking is the ability to say, no, no, I don't consent. I don't consent. I'm going to I'm going to come up with my own conclusion. Now, it's very important as well. Here's one caution. Here's one very important caution in this whole process is that when we're using our methods, it's too easy to also fall back into the armchair, what I call the armchair. I'm in an armchair. Well, this isn't really an armchair. This is an office chair. But it's too easy to fall back into the thinking of, oh, I'm just going to stay in my own mind and use my own methods. During this process of coming up with our own conclusion, it's really necessary. And without going into, discourse theory and Habermas, Jürgen Habermas, and like all these, highfalutin theories, whatever. But without going down that rabbit hole, it is really true that in order to think clearly, we have to be challenged. So we can't just stay and use our methods in our own mind. We actually have to go into conversation, have conversation with people. And again, this is where I started. I mean real conversation. I don't mean debate. I don't mean debate. I am so sick and tired, and I would love to hear from you guys too. I am so sick and tired of scrolling on a social media feed and seeing, oh, I'm right about this, you're wrong about this, and oh, you suck because you believe this, and oh, I'm, and this is, I like, it's gotten to the point where it's like, I'm just disgusted by it. I'm just disgusted by this whole attitude, this whole approach, right? In order to be an independent thinker, that's not how we do things, right? In order to be an independent thinker, again, and really have true freedom in our lives as a result of being an independent thinker, we need to go back to the basics and say, okay, I'm going into, and remember, this is where we started this live stream. I'm going into this conversation with the intention and goal of learning something. My goal is to learn something. My goal is not to defeat someone. My goal is not to be right. My goal is to learn something. And at the end of the day, my goal is not to convince even though you might want to, even though you might not like the other person's position. The idea is not to convince, because what's going to happen, right? Why? This isn't just like, oh, let's hold hands. This sounds wonderful, right? Right? Let's hold hands and be happy together. No, the idea behind this is that, like, this is my sincere desire for everyone. This is my sincere, Kuldeep, welcome. I'll get to you in a moment. But my sincere desire for everyone is not, I've gotten to the point where I realize I don't want to change somebody's opinion. I don't really want to change somebody's opinion. I would like if somebody uses their own independent thinking and comes to a different conclusion, I would like it if they came to that different conclusion by using their own independent thinking. In other words, I never want to convince anybody. I would rather people convince themselves, right? I think we should all have that approach. And basically, I believe very firmly, if we all analyze and engage in conversation with that goal of learning something new, um, I really believe that we will be able to come to the truth, because the truth is somewhere. I really believe the truth is somewhere, usually, not always, but usually somewhere in the middle of what people believe. Kuldeep, and I mean that by having common ground. So Kuldeep, you said get influenced by people's perception. If they feel or say that something can't be done, then they assume nobody can do it. Well, yeah. Well, so once again, as a good independent thinker, Kuldeep, as a good free thinker, think of and critical thinker, think of, take a look at what they're claiming, and say, and really reflect on it. They say something can't be done. Well, what evidence are they using to make that conclusion? What evidence are they using? Um, Maybe the reason you're influenced by their own perception and their own claim is because maybe you haven't really done enough research into it yourself. Maybe it's a business venture. Maybe they say, okay, that business, you can't do it. But and maybe they're right, and maybe you're right, but you might feel intimidated by their opinion on that simply because, maybe you really haven't done your due diligence enough and researched that business enough, let's say, or that project or whatever it is they're saying you can't do. Maybe you haven't researched it enough and kind of looked into what are the failure rates, what kinds of people do this business, what kinds of skill sets do you need to do it, how much experience do you need, how much capital, how much time, right? Have you looked at all those things? If you haven't looked at all those things, then it's very easy for somebody to just knock you over with their own opinion, whether that opinion is informed or not. If you have done more research into those things, it's very hard for somebody to just knock you over with their opinion. You can stand your ground a little bit while also asking them, right? Okay, how are you coming to your conclusion? It's a very powerful question. Like, seriously, even just that question. There's something called street epistemology. It's like this canvassing tactic. It's very, very interesting, conversational tactic. But there's this concept from street epistemology, which is you ask somebody the question. You just ask the question: what is the method you came? What is the method that you used to come to that conclusion? What method did you use? Right? And the person has to think. Most of the time people have to think, because most of us don't know how we came to a conclusion. Right? So it's it's a big deal. We have to be, we have to engage in that. So it has been a nice conversation today. Guys, if you want to check out more of what I do in terms of coaching, personal coaching, courses that I have, and working with me personally, feel free to check out the About section on my channel. And feel free to subscribe if you want to see more and you want to stay engaged with my community. Would love to have you around, and I'd love to keep building this community with you. You guys mean a lot to me. So thanks for spending time with me today, and reach out anytime. Take care, guys.